Many people may say that their favorite wrestler is a role model, whether that individual has risen above hate, fought through personal demons, or has created memorable moments for that one person. As we now have a wider pool and representation within the world of wrestling, there's someone for everyone, especially within the advancements of women's wrestling. Young women can find a version of themselves on any weekly wrestling program. Now more than ever, it seems like wrestlers are judged for what goes on outside of the ring as well as inside of it. Usually, these aspirations occur after leaving the bright lights of the main event.
One woman, though, was able to find success in both and become a role model for an entire company. That is Dr. Britt Baker, and don't you dare forget
Breaking the Molars.
Brittany Ann Baker was born on April 23rd, 1991 in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania. Oh, Puxatawny, like the groundhog from Groundhog Day, right? Yes, in namesake, but turns out, I went down a whole rabbit hole for this, that the groundhog named Puxatawny Phil doesn't live in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania. He actually lives in Youngstown, Pennsylvania. And I had a joke involving the movie Groundhog Day starring Bill Murray. Now I can't even say it because the movie Groundhog Day is actually filmed in Woodstock, Illinois.
He copied my whole flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
While in school, Baker excelled in sports like basketball and track and field. After graduating from Penn State with a degree in behavioral health and a minor in human development, she would enroll in wrestling school at the nearby International Wrestling Cartel in South Hills, a suburb of Pittsburgh. She would later go on to study at the University of Pittsburgh School of Dental Medicine and continue her training at Absolute Intense Wrestling, being trained by Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Wait, that's in Cleveland. How far is Pittsburgh to Cleveland?
Damn! If you or anyone you know has ever been to grad school, it's a 40-hour work week by itself. So I couldn't imagine doing that, getting in the car for 2 hours, one way mind you, and then doing a 3-hour session. I get tired just arguing with incels on Twitter. I couldn't imagine doing that every day.
Baker would make her in-ring debut for IWC in 2015. In December of the following year, she would become the promotion's inaugural women's champion. That year, she would even make an appearance on Monday Night Raw in a losing effort to Nia Jax. Soon though, Dr. Baker would be part of an event that would change pro wrestling as we knew it.
I don't want a great match. I want a match that is awesome.
The first ever All In is an event that will be part of wrestling lore until the end of time, and Britt herself would be one of the lucky few to have her name on the card. What happened next though would change her life and a division that would not yet see fruition, becoming the role model.
Britt Baker would be the first woman to ever sign an AEW contract, and rightfully so, the company highlighted a lot of her accomplishments. But this version of Britt Baker needed something because there was a little something missing from her character.
Sure, she could have stayed in the lane of being a normal white meat babyface, but after a poorly timed injury post-heel turn, she was at a crossroads. The world needed to know who Britt Baker really was. She was a doctor, she was a champion outside of the company, and she was a motherfucking role model.
As a role model, and as the much-needed face of this women's division, conspirators aside, I'm set for the biggest comeback of all time.
During the heat of the pandemic, a lot of wrestling companies didn't really know what to do, being that no fans could watch their shows, so leaning into experimentation was definitely needed. Baker couldn't wrestle, but she could for sure talk, leaning into this darker side of herself, an egotistical, mightier-than-thou persona, suggesting that the injury to her could have been part of some larger conspiracy to keep her down, berating Tony Schiavone and the entire AEW women's locker room every Wednesday night.
This new attitude brought more eyes to her work along with the entire AEW women's division, quickly developing into a cornerstone of the company and finding her voice. She really should be one of the 4 pillars, and you can't factually tell me I'm wrong. But one person cannot set up an entire roster for success. It takes a feud that is so unforgettable, it truly builds a legacy.
Oh my god. Not gonna do this, is she? Yet? Oh! Fire Thunder Driver through the table!
Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa had set the women's division, AEW, and the entire wrestling world on fire with their lights out unsanctioned match. Women at this point had had Hell in a Cell and Extreme Rules matches aplenty, but this deathmatch style hadn't really been seen on an American stage from women before.
setting the standard for the stipulation no matter the gender. This led to the moment that felt like it was Dr. Britt Baker's for the taking at AEW Double or Nothing.
We're getting in the deep water here for the champion. The lockjaw! She's got it! The lockjaw! Oh, the tap!
The winner of this match, and new AEW Women's World Champion, Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D.
What a fabulous match! Unbelievable!
She was finally at her rightful place at the top of the women's division, holding the title for an impressive 290 days, dropping it to Thunder Rosa on the same show a year later where both women had a career-making performance. Lockjaw of women's wrestling.
Women's wrestling really seems to be in a bit of a weird spot, because while it's most definitely improved compared to the product over a decade ago, it seems to not ever really been given its proper flowers. There might be a common thread there, and it's a bit subjective. I'd rather make an entire video about it and invite some female creators to share their point of view.
Here's the thing though, wrestling is a better place with Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. It's a better place with Becky Lynch, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Thunder Rosa, Chelsea Green, Jordan Grace, Timeless Toni Storm, and many, many more. Women need and have such a variety of badasses to look up to. Even if they don't want to become a wrestler, they might want to become a dentist. Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. is a prime example on why we need women of different backgrounds within the world of wrestling.
Like, for example, my partner, Maddie Pearl. Since our first date, I have converted her into a proper wrestling fanatic, and sometimes she watches more of the product than I do. Britt Baker was one of the first people she was really drawn to for a lot of the reasons I just mentioned, and while I can't speak for her, I think she sees a lot of herself in Britt Baker, a confident Renaissance woman. Cheering for individuals that we see a lot of ourselves in and have taken strides that we want to emulate is truly what makes wrestling so magical and unlike anything else. You see, today is her golden birthday, and this video is her gift. Since our first date at the 2023 Royal Rumble, I have not wanted to go to a wrestling show with, frankly, anyone else. Maddie, you have been my greatest supporter. This channel would not be here without you. I wouldn't be here without you. And you give me the greatest gift every single morning by being with me and pushing me to be my best. And I just hope I give a kernel of that support to you, because it is so tremendous. And while I'm no Adam Cole, I'll always be your baby.
So, in conclusion, while our favorite doctor has been out of action for a little while, the AEW women's division feels a little bit emptier, and I can't wait until I get to say my 3 favorite letters. D.M.D.